Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Behind Enemy Lines Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 14. As always, I'm joined with my friend and teammate, Steve.
Well, it's good to be back for another episode. I think, as we stated before, we're episode 14 tonight. And as we talked offline, 14 total subscribers. So we got a couple more this week. So thanks to those that are clicking on that subscribe button and watching it. So uh, it's again always great to be doing this and great to talk to Hab fans. And we're starting to get a bit of correspondence. People are sending messages and tuning in. So let's keep the train rolling and let's talk about all things Habs.
Excellent. On that note, I think you have a trivia question, very perfect for today's episode as well.
Yeah, so we're episode 14. The number 14 is prominent in the current roster. Our captain wears number 14. So the easy trivia question is, prior to Nick Suzuki, who was the last Hab that wore the number 14?
All righty. Um, I have an idea. I honestly don't know this one, as you know, and I'm racking my brain because I probably should know it and I don't. And I'm probably going to be pretty embarrassed when you rhyme off the answer later on.
Yes, I will give a pre-hint before I blurt it out, and
Yeah,
that's where we'll see the dumbfounded look of that proverbial light bulb going off.
yeah, yeah.
The three
Light
watt
bulb
bulb.
will go off
Yeah.
and crack all at the same time. So today we're going to do our usual thing. I'm going to do a little quick touch up here on Mitch Marner, our Aristotle report as of today's episode, recording Tuesday. He still has 2 goals, 8 assists with Vegas. But interestingly enough, he's a +8. And he's averaging 20 minutes, 42 seconds ice time per game, which is, right up Mitch Marner's expected performances. The +8 is a big number. I think he's doing really well. I just have to double check real quick, but I think he's second on the team, plus minus. So I mean, I don't know where these Toronto fans are getting it from. He's not a liability. We've been saying it. Go Mitch. I think he's Stanley Cup bound in Vegas. If not this year, very soon.
Well, he brings an element of the game that, the cause and effect, and, we'll maybe dive into this if the Maple Leafs continue to not perform well,
Mhm.
and revisit this one more time. But you can't take that kind of player who is dynamic. He's not 8 feet tall. He's not 6 feet tall, but he's dynamic. And he's a guy who creates things for other people to have success. He
Mhm.
creates space because he's shifty. He's got great blade work, and he gets a lot of points. And he's on pace to be Mitch Marner esque. And let's remember, he's brand new in this franchise. So
Mhm.
as he develops his chemistry and has certain players that he performs better with, those numbers are probably going to go up.
Yeah, and I think familiarity, as you mentioned, is a big thing, not with just the players, but the coaching staff as well, because they got to get to learn where he is best suited to play, where they trust him the most, and where to not put him. As we've said many times, set him up for success.
Absolutely, and I think depending on whether he's a Olympic roster candidate, I would guess he is. Just all the extra games in and cohesion with some of the guys he's playing with, I think his second half will be stronger than his first.
hmm and so we're going to go into tonight. Also, we're going to have a game preview of tonight's Seattle Kraken game, and today's topic is going to be a pretty exciting one for me personally. Um, why do we need Arbor Xhekaj? I think there's enough evidence out there to prove if you're not on the Arbor Xhekaj bandwagon yet, there's enough evidence to get you there, and that's going to be our discussion tonight. I know we were both pretty passionate about this topic when we were talking offline. So on that note, I think you're going to just do a quick rundown of the tonight's lineup.
Yeah, so not really a whole lot of change. There's probably one, and I'm not surprised. I know we've talked about this a couple episodes ago. Is who plays goal? In the last couple of years, Monty has been given the lion's share of the work. It's sort of like he plays three sits one, plays four sits one. We talked earlier about Jakob Dobish, and where does he get? How many does he get? We're both believers, firm believers, and we need to bank points early because anything could happen. You get two or three injuries, and you're going to be stuck. But right now, the hot hand is Jakob Dobish.
Mhm.
Just a fun fact: uh, he is the first rookie goalie to record back-to-back starts of 5-0. So no rookie goalie has ever done this. He came on last year because Caden Primo was our designated backup to start the year, and after that went south and he came up. He played his fair share number of games, but he's still eligible to be a Calder candidate this year, and he's off to a 5-0 start.
Mhm.
So he is the hot hand, and he gets a start and goal against the Kraken tonight.
Excellent. Injuries, I think we all know, same guys in the infirmary for the same reason. Nothing's really changed there. Goulet, Liney, and Reinbacher. I think that was it. I don't think there's anybody else.
Nobody of any prominent injuries. And that being said, we'll just quickly roll them down: Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Newhook, Kapanen, Demidov, Anderson, Evans, and Galley, and Doc, Valeno, and Bolduc, which leaves Joshua Waugh as the odd man out, and Mark Del Gaizo, who is along on the road trip to sample popcorn on the West Coast.
Mhm.
He is the other player that's not in the lineup. So unfortunately, the other press box buddy of his is Joshua Waugh. So relegated because Doc came back. Your defense core remains the same: Matheson, Dobson, Struble, Hudson, and Jackeye and Carrier.
Mhm.
So not a whole lot of changes. I don't think we don't have cause and concern to do so. So uh, that's who's taking the ice on the West Coast tonight.
Yeah, and the scratches, we're not surprised about that. We called this basically 2 or 3 episodes when we started the road trip that this was how it was going to be. And fortunate enough, the game plan's able to go as hoped for, because there's no injuries. Um, as far as um, Dobesh goes, I see a parallel this year, like you mentioned, to him outplaying Primo and stealing his job. Now he's out playing Monty and in the verge of stealing his job too. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited too because you can look at complacency as Monty last year was complacent being the number one guy. Yes, he got 30 wins, and carried us into the playoffs. But does he get 30 wins if Primo's the backup goalie?
Mhm.
We'll never know, and it's a good thing. But he's being pushed by somebody else. So does Monty have to raise his game? My guess is he does. Has he? He hasn't this year. And there was speculation that with a couple extra days off in between, would they go from the Vancouver game to Seattle and have Monty do both and Dobish return home to play Saturday night against Ottawa, or do we ride the hot hand? And morning skate today, Dobish is in goal tonight, and
Mhm.
I couldn't be happier. I'm good for the rookie for working hard, good for Martin for rewarding him, and we need to bank points.
Mhm. I know we discussed earlier, and I just want to ask you real quickly here before we go on to tonight's topic. We had talked, one of the episode 2, whatever it was, we were still new to the broadcast game, and we had talked about our expectations for the goalies, that Sammy was going to be the regular guy. Dobesh would get in on back-to-backs and maybe the odd game here or there. And we sort of speculated, as you know, the 25 games plus or minus. Uh, Now we're sort of flipped that. We think it's going to be the other way around. I think we're both pretty much in agreement to that. I'm just wondering if it's not even going to be more now. I'm wondering, like, if Dobesh is playing tonight, I don't see why they don't play him Saturday night as well against Ottawa. Like, are we looking at the next back to back before Sammy gets in again?
Well, I mean, we're ten games in, and Dobish is 5-0. So right now we are splitting time even. We are
Mhm.
5 starts apiece. This is game 11 tonight, and now Dobish will have more games played than Sammy. So we talked about it before about body of work, and we said, one played 2 games, one played 4 games. Can we compare? We can compare straight up now as of game tonight, and we can
Mhm.
even throw in tonight's game. Dobish is right there with the league leaders in every aspect of this. And I honestly start to see this as a changing of the guard. He comes out tonight and wins another game and starts 6-0 again, because that's what he did last year. You're starting to really put the heat on Monty, which is a good and bad thing at the same time
Yeah.
because you want him to be better. Does he rise to the challenge? I guess we'll wait and see how tonight's game goes and how that transforms into a plane ride home and Saturday night hockey against Ottawa.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find real quick here the stats on the goalies here. Uh, but I think I got Dobash is tied for second or tied for third, I guess technically how they do it. He's in third for save percentage at .940, which we talked about. His goals against average, he's right up there. He's in third for that, 1.77, third in the league for that, behind Thompson and Dawes. I mean, so he's got the numbers, like you say. It's undeniable. It's not like he's fluking out. He's getting wins because you know they're scoring buckets of goals and all. He's earning it.
He is, and he's put himself in the conversation to be on the Czechia Olympic team.
Mhm.
That wasn't going into the season. He's a rookie, and they would have went with more matured players because that's how Czechia has always done it.
Mhm.
But he's now got himself in that conversation. So good, good trending for the kid. The
Mhm.
rookie's earned it, and hopefully this carries on after tonight.
Yeah. So while I got it up here, it's actually you mentioned about the Czech hockey team. Dobesh, the next guy, Daniel Vlader out of Philly.
But Dan Villadar,
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get these name rights. I'm Don Cherry. I guess I could never get it right. Um, Vanasek out of Utah and Rittich out of the Islanders are his country compatriots, I guess you would say. And pretty much, while he's played the most games, and he's got the best numbers, I think he's got to be their goalie. I just don't
well,
see I don't see things changing from here to the Olympic break that's going to say anything different.
unless we go throwback Thursday and he goes Andre Red Light Rassico on us, I believe he's probably in the mix. And
Yeah,
whether he's the first or second string goalie, I could see them being on the roster as the third string guy because he's earning it. He's
yeah,
playing against NHL shooters and doing well. So
yeah.
I'd like to see less red light and more Dobish nights, and we'll carry
Yeah.
on.
That'll be my prediction. He's the starting goalie for the Czech team at the Olympics.
Hot take in episode 14.
Yeah.
Book it, Dano. We're in.
Yeah. Okay, so on to today's topic. Why do we need Arbor Xhekaj? I don't think it's a big secret of what Arbor brings to a game and what we expect out of him. And as long as we keep it realistic, I think that's what makes it successful as a player and as fans of the team.
Right. And again, some of the things that you've talked about. What does value mean? Is value measured by minutes played? Is value measured by goals scored? Is value measured by plus minus? All those things are great, but if that's not that player's skill, it's hard to say. Arbor Xhekaj is not going to score 50 points in the season. Not 50 goals, not 50 points. He wouldn't even score 50 on his Xbox. Well, maybe if he's playing the Leafs,
Yeah.
he might. But that's not what he's here for. So the burning question is, why is Arbor Xhekaj a member of the Montreal Canadiens?
Mhm. Well, I think for lots of reasons. Obviously, most importantly is because of the presence he brings. I'm going to put up a link here in the episode of that video. I think that everybody's seen it, gone viral with that clown out of Vancouver chirping Slavkovsky and Demidov
Kiefer
smiling and laughing.
Kiefer Sherwood.
Sherwood.
Yeah.
And they even
He's
mention it in the thing, like, you know what I mean? Other than the fact he's got the name of a hockey stick, he's really not a hockey guy. The Americans don't even know he's an American guy. He'll be changing the tires on the team Olympic bus before he ever makes the team. So I don't take that too seriously. And I just find it funny that from the safety of his bench, he can chirp Slavkovsky and whoever else he wants to. And if that's your game, that's fine. But he's going to run into Arbor one day, and Arbor's going to, you want to run your mouth now? Let's go ahead. Let's dance.
well, yeah. I was going to say he may be named after a hockey stick, but Arbor's lucky he didn't make him eat one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's why we have Arbor Xhekaj.
Yeah.
He brings comfort, security, and a presence.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean he has to go out and take liberties and fight people every game. Um, just his presence on the bench is enough to say, if this gets ugly, I've got the solution.
Mhm.
And if you go online to other Facebook groups, blogs, podcasts, the topic after the last game is Arbor took 2 penalties and
Mhm.
Marty benched him in the third period. His ice time was 6 minutes and 37 seconds for the game. Does that mean he's fallen out of favor? It might be, just on the short term,
Mhm.
because Marty has worked hard with Arbor, trying to get him to be a better player, trying to get him to be more responsible, and trying to get him to understand his role because he's not going out there and just pounding the crap out of people.
Mhm.
We love it. We love, go back to when he came in, he went from slinging cases of groceries and dog food at Costco to slinging heavyweights onto the ice. And, he forced Zach Cassian into retirement.
Mhm.
And that is a big step for a young kid. Now he's matured a bit. He is playing better defensively, but what are his penalties? He's got 15 penalty minutes in 9 games. He's
Yeah.
got one major. So through 9 games, he's taken 10 penalty minutes, which is
Mhm.
5 minor penalties.
Yeah.
Are they the big guy penalty? He's the aggressive guy, the enforcer, so he bumps into a guy and a guy falls over. I'm going to suggest one or two of them.
Mhm.
Is he getting the unfortunate penalty where the stick gets between a guy's skates because he's trying to stick check him in the corner and one zigs, the other zags, and he gets a penalty? Those are going to happen. It doesn't matter who you are.
Mhm. Yeah, and I would agree. I think the breakdown of what those penalties actually are is the most important thing. Like you say, accidental trips. So of his total minutes, five's got to come off for a fight. And you have to take that. Like you have to be willing to accept the fact that Arbor Xhekaj is going to get these 5 minute penalties, which don't really hurt you because there's another guy at the other side of the fight that's taken that side 5 minutes as well. So that's a written off penalty. When I look for penalties, I look for penalties that put you at an actual disadvantage. So you have to look at are these penalties are they coincidental roughing penalties where both guys are going to sit for two? They're
Yeah,
both going to sit for five, right? So you got to look at not just the penalties, but did it make the team shorthanded? That's the important thing.
yeah, and I think his 5 minors, I'm pretty positive all 5 of them have caused us to be shorthanded. And are they costing us games? We've got 3 losses. He's taken 5 penalties, two in one game. We won that game against Vancouver.
Mhm.
So clearly he's not the only guy. Matheson's taken his fair share of dumb penalties.
Mhm.
We know against the Edmonton game, Josh Anderson took his stupid penalty. It's going to happen, right? Heat of the moment, you fart and make a bad decision, and next thing you know it, you're going from a skid mark to a full load in your drawers, and the coach is barreling down on you. But he's young and he's going to learn from it,
So
So
here's an interesting fact that, like I just brought up the, excuse me, according to Sportsnet, I just brought up Montreal's stats here, and Arbor Xhekaj is obviously leading the way with 15 minutes and penalties. But you might be surprised who number two is. You had mentioned Matheson, which, yeah, Matheson's got 8 minutes and penalties. Slavkovsky's got eight. Guli, Demidov's actually got 6 minutes and penalties, which surprised me a little bit. Um, but again, not only that, do you want to just take a second to try to guess who's number two in penalties with 10 minutes?
uh, I'm going to say Carrier.
That would be a pretty good guess to me because again, he plays that style of game where, he's not afraid to mix it up and get into those incidental penalties. But it's Jake Evans, believe it or not, has 10 penalty minutes
Yeah, never
for the guy
never would have
who's
pegged that. I
I
would
know
have
that's
pegged.
why I'm just as surprised looking at it here as you are me telling you because he's supposed to be our penalty killing guy, right?
Yeah, he's our shorthanded guru, and if you take out Arbor's 5 minute major, they're straight up the same number of penalty minutes
Yeah.
minus the one scrap. I would
Mhm.
have put Carrier in there because he plays more of a defensive game and he's on the ice as a stay at home holding defenseman. So
Mhm.
it wouldn't have surprised me if he was in that neighborhood because let's be honest, the more you play in those situations, the
Yeah.
more unlikely you are going to be victorious.
Well, Carrier, just for context, lower down on the list with all the real goons like Demidov, Gallagher, Dobson. and him. They've got 6 minutes in penalties. I just thought, what kind of
So
what kind of lead weights are we carrying around here?
right. So when you look at it, he's taken two more minor penalties than
Yeah,
the rest of the guys.
yeah,
He plays a rough and tumble game, but as Kiefer Sherwood went shooting his pie hole off, like the guy who lives in his mom's basement with a bag of Cheetos and a sweat sock, he can be tough from a distance.
yeah,
But at no point when Arbor's on the ice did he say to his coach, Adam Foote, put me on. I got a score to settle. Why? Because it ain't gonna happen.
yeah.
He goes after Slavkovsky. Hey, look, Slav's a big kid.
Mm,
He's dropped the mitts in the past.
yeah.
I don't think Arbor has to defend himself. It doesn't have to defend his teammate that much because the teammate can do it for him.
Yeah,
But why doesn't he have liberties? Because he knows he's going to pay the price.
yeah.
So, Arbor brings that, I won't say security blanket, but a security blanket. It's
Mhm.
nice to know that the defense from a security point has a front line and it has backup.
Yeah,
You never want to go into a war undermanned, and we don't have that this
yeah.
year.
And not only do we have that, like, well, the last 3 years, 4 years, however long we've had Arbor, we've had that, but he hasn't had really any help. This year he's got more help with a few more tougher guys in the lineup, more gritty physical players. I mean, we all know Anderson, Anderson can go when he wants to. But that's not what he's getting paid for. He's getting paid
Right,
for a rougher game, a physical game, but not a fighting game, but he can if he has to. And I
right.
think that helps out Arbor because one, Arbor's not the only guy. He has options that, you know, can help him out uh be more of what he needs to be and still be a hockey player at the same time, which, like you mentioned before, St. Louis is taking him under his wing and teaching him and using these moments of, he got those two penalties and he got benched. And I agree with you. I don't think he was benched because of the penalties. I think it was game situational that, hey, we're in a real fight here. We need to get the guys out there that can defend and score and do the things.
Right.
I don't want to
And
take that chance.
and let's be honest, players are smarter than they have been in the past.
Mhm.
So when they see a guy like Arbor take two penalties, you don't think it's going to take much for another guy to go into the corner, or rough him up a little bit, say something to him, and out of frustration, Arbor take another penalty.
Mhm.
So Marty isn't the type of coach that's going to walk to the dressing room, close the door, sneak out the back, and avoid the players. You know damn well that as soon as that game was over, as soon as everybody's done, they're cooling down, they're showered, they're getting ready to leave. He's going to have words with Arbor and say, look, here's why I did this,
Mhm.
and here's why you can't do it again, and we'll get you next game.
Yeah.
Because the easy thing would be is to put Del Gaizo in against Seattle and sit Arbor and say, we're going to teach you a lesson, kid. He's
Mhm.
not done that.
Yeah, and
So,
I think I don't think St. Louis is that kind of coach. Like there's nothing in his coaching history, as short as it is, that leads me to believe he's that type of guy. And I agree. He's going to sit down with Arbor and say, "Look, I pulled you out and you know what? It might have been in some even right at the moment during the game, he might have went over to Arbor and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to sit you not because of these penalties, but we're in a tight game and we need a win here." It could be that simple. And
yeah,
like we've talked about before, this isn't participation where everybody gets a medal. These guys understand that. They know and they can respect that. And I believe St. Louis would have used this as a teaching moment, not a punishing moment.
right. And, I mean, we've seen Arbor's played every game.
Mhm.
So he's doing something within the coach's wheelhouse to stay dressed every game
Mhm.
because that could change.
Mhm.
When Gooley comes back in probably 3 to 4 weeks, assuming he heals on time and on schedule, things could change. They seem to be playing Struble the last 3 games. He's got more minutes. He's also playing with Hudson. I think
I love
Struble is.
that pair. I really love that pair. I really
I
do.
think they're. I think Struble is a more agile skater,
Mhm.
so that gives that little bit. We know that Hudson is going to take more chances, so you need a more agile guy in case you get caught a step. But the pairing of Carrier and Xhekaj has been solid for a year and a half.
Mhm.
So it's that whole mentality. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. And
Right.
Struble's another one that again has that, round two, round three support for Jackeye because players are going to be less likely to, at one point they would just send out get Xhekaj penalty out of the game, basically, for the best way to put it, and then they didn't have to worry about it no more. Well, now you get Xhekaj out of the game, which you're not because he's playing smarter, he's picking his moments. While you still got Anderson to deal with, you got Struble to deal with. I think I had heard somebody talk about what's his name, Bull Duke. I think he can chuck it a little bit too. So I mean, it's not like
And
you're one and done anymore.
yeah, and the other guys, a supporting cast, like we've talked about it before. We know Caulfield and Newhook, they're Smurfs on steroids,
Mhm.
right? They're not beating people up. But Doc has been known to throw mitts. Slavkovsky's been known to throw mitts.
Mhm.
Carrier would go in there and do the same thing.
Mhm.
Matheson would probably not want to go toe to toe, but he's going to grab a guy and not shy away from it.
Mhm.
So we've got guys that believe in the team. And,
Mhm.
when you believe in the team, there's usually a common denominator. We
Mhm.
saw this in years past with the whole PK Subban and the Carey Price brotherhood. They did the low five going off the ice. There's a special bond.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, Arbor Xhekaj is part of the glue with these young kids
Mhm.
because they know he'll do anything for them. They value him, and it doesn't show by minutes. It shows
Mhm.
by appreciation, and he knows he's getting the love.
Mhm.
When Caulfield scored the overtime goal, who was the first guy to hug him in the dressing room other than Marty when he's walking back after the on ice interview? Arbor. Arbor's there giving him all the love, and you can just see the look and the smile on Caulfield's face.
Mhm.
They know, and it's been a while since we've had that kind of presence,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? A polarizing presence that says, "Hey guys, I got you." So does Caulfield play like a 6'4" power forward? No, but he can go out and do his job and know that that guy's in his backyard, right?
Yeah.
So he brings a calming presence, and again, you can't measure it by goals or assists or ice time minutes. It's
Mhm.
value, and he
Yeah.
brings it. I would not want to trade Arbor Xhekaj. It doesn't matter whether they're offering a first round pick, a second round pick, a prospect in a pick. To me, unless he goes out there and just absolutely does nothing, I
Mhm.
don't think you trade the guy.
I think he is about untradeable as it gets on this team. I would throw him right up there. I think you'd be as foolish to trade Arbor Xhekaj as you would be to trade Nick Suzuki. I honestly believe that, and people might think I'm crazy. I know they're skill wise, they're nothing, but Suzuki's value to this team and to what he brings is equal to what Arbor's value is to what he brings. I mean, it's two totally different, currencies that they bring, but they're both equally as valuable.
Yeah, and again, and the guys on the team know it. They
Yeah.
just know. And the secondary part of this is Arbor has such a polarizing influence on the way this team is built, the way it trains, the way it structures.
Mhm.
They drafted the kid's brother.
Mhm.
So when we talk about we don't want to upset management now, they don't want two disgruntled guys who say at the end of the contract, you know, tell Detroit, tell them bullshit, trade me right fucking now. They don't
Yeah.
want that. They
Yeah.
want both these guys.
Yeah.
So it's important in the maturation process as they both go through it
Mhm.
that both guys understand their role responsibilities, and it's going to come with some hard lessons. And Arbor's going through it right now.
Yeah. But that's part of the learning curve. I've been a big, big fan. I know we've had the discussion. This, I think we were a little bit on a little bit of a different page at one point. Um, I'm all about giving the young guys a chance. Last year, when we were trying to make that run, get to that playoff spot and secure that playoff spot, and it came right down to the last game. I was all about giving the young guys a chance. Um, not just taking anybody out of the lineup, but you had players that weren't doing anything, weren't holding a spot as far as I'm concerned. You know, put a young guy in there, see what he can do, because sure that might affect this year, but it worked better for development in the long run for next year, the year after, when we're in our, contending window, as they say.
Yeah, and I think that contending window has swung wide open. This isn't the back of a gremlin where it's only a little push out window. This
Mhm.
is this is full wide open. This is the big picture window, in a $10 million home. I mean, this is wide open. The opportunity is ours, and the kids are playing well. We are the youngest team, And you watch any other broadcast, if you stream TV, watch an American broadcast, listen to these announcers. They have nothing but high praise for our young group. We transition well, we pass the puck well, but they say we have fun. You can see it within the interactions, the guys on the ice, they are there for each other and having fun.
Yeah.
So, and part of that is they can do this. They can have fun.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing too, because we talk about the camaraderie and the friendship and the bonding they have between the players. And it might surprise you, I'm gonna pop lots of little video snippets into this episode when I get to it, and I hope I can find them all because I watch all this stuff and what I should be doing is writing it down where I can easier find it. But you might be surprised who the two best friends are on the team off the ice is actually Xhekaj and Hudson. Apparently, those two are
They're
inseparable.
inseparable. Yeah.
They share hotels together. I guess they love playing the Xbox. They eat together. Like they are like twins attached at the hip, which is really good, right?
And we saw that with, we bring it up again, the Marner cause and effect, and how he was
Mhm.
the Austin Matthews wingman by Toronto media.
Mhm.
The Toronto Sports Network had Austin being the guy,
Mhm.
and Mitch was, his proverbial bride to be, and they were married, and they did everything together. And
Yeah.
you know it's is it justified? The media create any story and any backstory.
Mhm.
And now they created the backstory that this was a bitter breakup. I'm sure Matthews and Marner are still good friends,
Mhm.
but it's time to move on. And, we don't want to go down that road. We don't want to see Lane Hudson have to go through this. These guys are locked up for 8 years. The salary cap's going to go up. That money's going to stay the same.
Yeah.
We got guys on friendly deals. We have cap room. But what we have is guys wanting to be there and play with each other. You don't think that Lane Hudson wanted to sign here for 8 years because he had nowhere else to go? That kid could have rode it. That kid could have rode after a Calder Cup winning season. He could have rode his way into anything. But he
Yeah.
wants to be there with his buddies.
He
Arbor
he
being
could have just, he could have just uh, demanded whatever he wanted. Because honestly, would Montreal pay him over 12 million? I don't think so, but he would have had the right to ask for it.
Yeah, and they might have bartered it down and tried to get in that $10 million just above Dobson.
Mhm.
Luckily, we didn't have to find that out. We got him for less than Dobson. So, these guys they're part of a culture change, and that culture change is cemented by guys like Xhekaj who don't make their money but still have value.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep it on topic, but I'm gonna sort of ask you a little bit of a defense question because I have some ideas about it. And I'm not sure if I'm way off base or whatever. We know, I'm just going to bring up the lineups here. We know our top six right now are, as you said, Matheson and Dobson, Struble, Hudson, Xhekaj, and Carrier. That's a solid top six. Um, but now you have Reinbacher who's out, uh, and you have Gooley who's out, right? Well, one or both of them is going to be back sooner than later. Like who slots in? I think
Well,
you're going to have a hard time. Even Gooley, I think you have a hard time putting him in. Listen, I love Gooley. I think he's a great defenseman, but who do you take out? That's my question.
well, I think Gooley goes in because you're paying him. He's not done anything to lose a spot. What you can do is you can book that Reinbacher coming back is going to go to the minors because he hasn't played since camp.
Mhm.
So you buy luxury because he's young and he's waiver exempt and he's not getting paid tons of money, so you can send him to the minors. The next step is, do you stay status quo, and like you and I had talked about before, um, if you put Struble in, Xhekaj comes out. That would be the natural thing, and I'm assuming they're prepared to do that. And maybe once Gooley comes back, it's Struble that stays in, and Xhekaj comes out, and maybe they ride that 3 or 4 games and try and get. But I think if you're trading one, you're trading Struble because people
I would
need Xhekaj
100%
gone.
agree. Like I've
You
already
know,
said, to me, Jack Guy's untradeable.
right? So I think that becomes the default.
Mhm.
When, I don't know, because I don't think you make that deal and trade away Struble until you know Reinbacker's healthy,
Mm,
because you got to call somebody up. And we have Engstrom in the minors and Delgaizo, who they've called up,
mm,
but you got to be comfortable, and you
mm,
can't deplete one for the other. And I would hate to have to make a waiver claim and get, some plug just because we're desperate.
yeah.
Because
You need a
then
body
you're
to
paying,
fill a slot.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you're paying salaries for no reason. So, right now I like where we're going. I like the balance that we have. We have the stay at home presence, we have the offense presence, and we have a toughness presence. So I think once everybody's healthy, if we have to make room for guys, I'm
Mm,
still saying it. He has value. Struble is going to be your odd man out.
yeah. And again, not fair to Struble either because he's playing well enough to stay in the lineup. And as we talk about so often, he'll just be a victim of numbers.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, we'll dive into this in another episode, two or three down the road. We'll talk about how this management team has been drafting. We can go back as far as 5 or 6 years.
Mhm,
We are drafting and developing, and prospects are playing, which is a good problem to have.
mhm,
The good problem is you've got depth and you're using it. The bad thing is you can't keep them all. And if you're staying status quo and not winning, you can't bring up the next guy and say, well, this guy's in, because,
mhm,
and I'll just mention it and we'll move on quickly. When you got guys like Michael Haig coming and Zarovsky out of Russia, what forward guys don't make it? If you're bringing in two more guys, two guys have to go, and that's the same on defensemen. So, Reinbacher, we moved Mayu, we got Bolduc, which is great. If we have to move Struble, then we have to move Struble. If that means we have to go get a veteran guy in return just to be the seventh D man riding the pine, and that's what he's aware of, then like a David Savard type of player, then maybe that's what we do. But it's a good problem to have in a bad way.
yeah, for sure. But I agree. It's better to have uh, Reinbacher down for a call up than it is to have him sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
needs his reps, needs his minutes, needs his playing, all that stuff. On that note, we're going to go into final thoughts. What have you got for final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Well, Arbor brings a presence. We've talked about this. Final statement. He's here. Unless he says something that's direct and threatens his personal, well-being, I don't think he goes anywhere. I would like to see him get more minutes. I think as the season settles a bit, and guys are nursing minor injuries, you're going to have some of these guys sit, the last 4 and 5 minutes of the game, and Arbor will get his chance to shine. Let's be honest, he's one big fight at the Bell Center in front of the home crowd before, or Arbor Mania breaks loose one more time. So I like his game. I like where he's at. I like how he's matured.
Mhm.
I like that, he hasn't given up. He went down to the minors, came back up. He's shown he can be resilient, and I like the kid moving forward.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm impressed with, I guess, the maturity of his game. I think St. Louis is teaching him how to be a more responsible hockey player. Probably even how to be a pro. I mean, that's a big thing that people don't necessarily realize is a big part of a player's game. But I think Arbor is receptive to he wants to learn. Everybody wants to play in the NHL. So if you're not going to want to do what take advice from your coach, who the advantage that Montreal has is all the guys that are on the ice there uh, have seen him play. You probably got some of the older Matheson, Gallagher have played against him. So it's not like, he's this relic from 30 years ago that people say, what does this guy know about hockey? He hasn't played in 20 years. You know what I
Right.
mean? He's played, within these guys'
Yeah.
lifetime, and he was very good at it. So they know that he can make them better. And I think that helps Jack comprehend the thing. I think he's more responsible defensively. He's not taking the stupid penalties. He's not fighting just for fighting's sake because he feels he's something needs to prove. I think he's picking his spots and he's picking them wisely.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree 100%. It's part of a maturation process, and he's going through it, and I think with flying colors.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better for him.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to our trivia answer. And before you give it, I've been sort of running through my head the whole time we've been talking about who it could be. And
I
I
will
think you
tell
might have
you,
tricked me. I think you might have tricked me because I think I know the answer. And
it's
if it's
not
what I think it is, good on you because you got me good on this one.
it's not Mario Tremblay. So I'll tell you that
Yeah.
because that I know that was your first inkling because we talked about Tremblay in a previous episode
Yeah.
of the Ring of Honor. Um, he is known for his turtleneck.
Oh, can't believe I didn't get that one. Oh, what a douche canoe. Oh, yeah.
Thomas Placanitz.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh
last
my
player
God.
to wear number 14.
Take me off the podcast. I can't believe I didn't get that one. What
So
an
yeah,
idiot. Oh,
so yeah, it was a kind of a simple one, and
yeah.
he was the gift that kept on giving, even though we overpaid him because we traded in Toronto and
Yeah.
we got a pick for him. We brought him back and
For
played a
nothing.
couple of games before. Yeah, so
I think
Thomas
we got
Placan,
another pick back on the trade back too.
yeah. So and believe it or not, he wore that number from 2008 to 2019. So he was an 11-year warrior wearing that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah. And that's
If
what
it
I
was,
think when we were talking off air before we started, you told me that it was 11 years and that's what blew my mind. And I even said to you, I probably should know this and I'm drawing a blank and I'm probably going to be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. It's that simple. I'm embarrassed.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see how many other people get fooled by this one because he's the
Oh,
forgotten guy. But Plecky,
probably I'm going to be the only dummy on this one. I'll be upfront with you. I'll probably be the only dummy. Oh man. Anyways, on that,
well, well, before we do a final shout out and shout off and exit, I'm wearing the Montreal blue today.
yeah,
It's another J game, so I went with the Blue Jay blue jersey today.
yeah.
Let's hope the hometown the home country team can even up the series in LA. It was quite a barn burner last night. 18 innings, 6 hours, 40 minutes.
Oh,
Uh,
3 o'clock. That was a long night.
that long night. So yeah, so go Jays go.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in and watching another episode of Behind Enemy Lines, the hockey podcast. Thanks as always for watching. Please comment, share, like, subscribe. Very important to hit that subscribe button. We're at 14 subscribers right now, which is pretty good. I think we're only, 3 weeks into this project. Our next big hurdle, we want to get to 20. Maybe we can do something special for subscriber 20. I don't know, you know, a box of
Well,
chocolates or something.
well, yeah, we'll tell you now. We've kind of had a few things off air kind of phone call conversations. At some point, we enjoy doing this. Are we making millions? No, we're not going to. But people, we appreciate your support. As this grows, we're going to get some hats and some T-shirts made. Maybe this be some giveaways down the road. But yeah, keep going. Like, comment, share. We can't do this without you.
All righty. So have that, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
And as always, keep your stick on the ice.